Everyone still, I was thinking lately, like, since like nobody like remembers how it is to be like a baby, like an actual like baby or whatever, I was thinking like, what if like we are never babies? Like, it's just okay, this is like too far. No, I'm just like, I don't know if I'm gonna be able to. I don't know, but I don't know, like, so I was thinking, like, maybe, like, this is all just, like, a game, like, literally, like, simulation form of life, that everything, like, about, that we know about each other, or, like, I don't know how to describe that, that's just, like, that we are, like, everything is, like, based on the form of, like, a human, right, like, through like your photo from like passport or whatever to like what like, you know what I mean, like everything is based on like in a way that you have like this human body and whatever that like dies anyway. I don't know what I'm trying to say, but I was thinking like, what if that's like all like this one thing that the world is so focused on, it's just actually the thing that you are the least, if that makes sense. I'm sorry, it's just like those thoughts that I would have like when I was younger, and I would be always so like mind boggled, and I would just always feel like, you know, I just like wake up and I just am here, like wherever this is, and I would just always like, I just always would like see other people either talk about certain things as a child or whatever, about like history or even themselves and things like that, and I would always feel in that kind of way of like that they're kind of lying. Like, I don't know why, like I would literally, I don't quite understand maybe right now, but like when I was a child, like it was really kind of like that, like I'd always wonder like, do those people like that I would be like around from like my family or whatever, is it like, do they know that they're like lying? Are they doing this intentionally? And then like I wouldn't know if it's just like me seeing that they're kind of lying, but they wouldn't feel like that. Like I could never understand that, but I would always feel like, what if like everything, like the history and everything is just like a lie in form of like, I guess, wow, it sounds so like bad. Like anyway, I was like having thoughts like that when I was younger, and I would always be just like so like eager or something to be like let's discover a world like this, like life or world or whatever, like even the word world would be already like too much of like closure in like a box for me, like, but I just always wanted to like figure out like, okay, what is this or whatever, but like nobody cared. Like, it's so sad. No, just kidding, but like, yeah, like I don't know, I would always just like feel like there's just like something like more, if that makes sense, and I always feel like maybe it's just like the people that I was like around, I'm not sure, but I would just like always feel like that there has to be something that is completely different in form of like how people like perceive reality or whatever, or how I would think and grow up around, and like what people around me would kind of give me the kind of perception of what is life or whatever is, which I guess it's different anyway for each culture anyway, which ultimately in a way I guess that just suggests right away to me that it's not something very like solid, and it's again something that something else can be like discovered, if that makes sense. But I feel like people clinch very harsh to like those kind of concepts or whatever. I don't know, again, like it's just me perceiving those other people, so anyway, but I don't know what I was trying to say, like about like those like being a child or whatever. I just feel like a lot of things, maybe it's just me, but I feel like just like a lot of concepts or whatever are just like based on things that probably like also like like I don't know, like I don't quite understand also like that idea. I don't know if I was like taught wrong when I was like a child or something. But I also like don't understand this idea about like about like where like people like used to think that I don't know, there's like too much thoughts again at once happening. But it's kind of fascinating, like the idea that like people, like for example, let's try to use that example because I was thinking about that lately. I'm sorry about my chair making noises, but like as far as I understood, maybe this is a complete lie or something, you know, I don't know. But I would never understand like the idea of like when I was younger. I guess like I heard that like people would not always think that we live on a globe or something like that and we're on a planet or something, right? And they would think like, even it doesn't matter like what they would think, but just the idea that they would think about something completely different, right? And then they have like this discovery of like we live on a planet or on a globe or whatever, and I could never understand not looking at that subject in form of like, well, suppose, I mean, if like how to call it, so I suppose, I guess that's what I would try to say, that if people would, well, maybe like that, maybe like I assume that people like living back again, even assuming if history is true anyway, because I would have like those ideas that maybe it's not even real and this is all just like simulation. History is just like a part of that simulation, but like the history like never really happened. I don't know, I have like those weird ideas. I would always like to think freely about those things when I was a child, but then unfortunately when I was growing up somehow something like bad was starting to attach to those thoughts, and it's just kind of interrupted in form of like trying to express that to other people, which is silly, but okay. Anyway, so I was saying like, okay, so assuming again if history is right and everything like that, if so if people were thinking back in the day that they didn't know that we live on a globe, and then there was like this big discovery that we live on a planet and this and that, like I just don't understand why nobody, or maybe I just didn't heard, goes into that kind of subject of like, well, people lived according to, and I assume that they are really sure that whatever, like I don't know if that was like called flat earth before like the globe was discovered, I don't know the history, but like whatever the people were believing before they discovered that we live on a planet and on a globe and this and that, whatever they were believing, I guess like they lived according to that and thought that that's like the reality and everything. I don't understand that part of like the jump of like they thought that that's true, now we think that the globe is like the, you know, the ultimate true. Like why is there right away this like healthy kind of like, how do you call it, like distance to that, by just like knowing that like, okay, if they thought, again assuming if that's like how it happened, if people were thinking that whatever was before the globe was so true, and then like something like so different happened to be like the globe, right, like or just like something different that they believed, right, why did people not have that kind of distance of like, well, if we just discovered something like new as like a globe or whatever, then isn't it like the obvious kind of next step that somewhere in the future we also gonna be like maybe discover that, well, globe maybe is not it and maybe there's something else. I mean, like people, I assume, in past would think that whatever they were believing that is true, the way that we right now believe that globe is true and everything, right? So I just don't understand this whole attachment to that, knowing that, like, again, assuming that that's true, whatever, that people used to believe so hard in something, and someone discovered, I don't know who or whatever, if that was, I don't know, like, where to find it. Sometimes it's difficult to find things on the internet and whatever, right? But yeah, like, just don't understand that attachment, because it's like, well, since, like, why are we better? Like, you know what I mean? Like, again, that just goes through some but it's some perspective of, like, some people, like, you know what I mean? Like, I don't know if that makes sense. I just don't understand that, like, whole attachment to it. Like, okay, cool, we discovered something more, but, like, who said that it's, like, the end, if that makes sense? Especially knowing that, like, we as a people can believe something in something so strong, and then somebody discovers something different, and then that's the reality or whatever. Which also I feel like is very hurtful for, like, individuals, and, like, the individual perception of reality. I think that's, like, really getting hurt, if that makes sense. I personally always just kind of felt different from other people, and yeah, anyway. But I always just, like, wanted to be that person who just talks about it and being kind of open about it. And again, you need that distance to that, right? Which I feel like sometimes I probably also don't have, because I've been growing up so long into this reality or whatever. So I don't know if any of those things make sense. Yeah, I guess so. Maybe I'll just end on that note. Yeah, wishing everything well, and goodbye.